This conference will now be recorded.
All right, guys, this is the Friday critique. I'm looking at the package design. Sorry, I got a little late start today. If you're here at noon, I'm sorry I missed you. First up, we're looking at Jose. You're doing brittle brick, and your logos come out pretty well. One thing I would say right away is there's some legibility issues that could be easily solved with some more contrast in value. So everywhere where it's white, ask yourself, could that be a color? If your background had a color, the white in the type there might stand out better. But definitely that's what I would go with. Your package is pretty minimal. You've got a nice texture going on, and I think it'll work. I think it works okay. But like I said, this white just stands out as like I didn't pick anything. So pick a color, find something that works there. You could go in a different direction, be less sort of monochromatic or analogous, maybe something in the red violet area, maybe. Check it out. You should have a descriptor line, something that explains what this is. I guess this is peanut brittle, but it's so tiny. And this is one of the things, this is a combo mark. So you've created an icon with logo type in it, which is difficult to do and hard to work with, but you've done okay. But just like I said, no one's going to read that. That's impossible to see. So consider how you would address that. It looks like you're using the template pretty well. You've got some perspective issues here, but overall acceptable. Basically, good job, Jose. All right, Laura, Chunk Soap. So this is a soap that is sort of very macho male, blue collar. The color palette you're using looks sort of fun and kid-like, playful, not in line with this brand at all. Even they say cedarwood and leather. There's nothing cedarwood and leather about any of this. Also, you're really not using a logo. You're just putting type with the name of the company. So that's not really a logo. Um, the elements are here mostly. You need ingredients for your soap. Um, but I would reconsider this color palette. It just really doesn't seem to fit with the brand. Design-wise, it's okay, but good design, wrong brand. All right, Christopher, Shanghai Cookies. So this looks like an RGB version of this color palette, so it's like way out of whack. If you can see here, it's like quite different when it gets used in the template. Your logo's good. The box has a sort of Asian feeling. I think you've done some good things here. Perhaps there could be more contrast between your logo and the background. If you think about these are complementary colors, which gives them some contrast, but the value, light and dark, is very close. So if you took the darkness, the brightness down on the green, that might make your logo pop a little more. And then your net weight is sort of awkwardly placed here. The way I would probably solve that is to take this border in a little bit and give a space at the bottom where the net weight could go. That means you're going to shrink your logo as well. But overall, this is a pretty good job. Kiara, you're doing Tupe Mate tea. So this using the words as a pattern in black, it just doesn't seem to feel right for this brand. It should be a little more natural feeling. You're using a gradient blue. Your logo, like the white on yellow, is not enough value contrast. So light and dark, they're too close. Your logo is kind of struggling a little bit, but I would try to eliminate black altogether from everything you're doing and see where you come out. And don't use words as a pattern. That's very distracting. You need to have some sort of descriptor line explaining what your tea is about. And it looks a little kind of empty in terms of information, but net weight needs to be placed properly. This is just kind of awkwardly placed there. I would just tuck it in the corner a little bit. So see if you can work on that. Color palette is key. I hope you have 5 colors you're working with, and not black and not white. So eliminate black and white, see where you come out. All right, Katie, swing set snacks. So your logo, like if you look at this, you've got the type up there and this icon here, perhaps a picture of the snacks. I would not use black. This could use more colors instead of just the monochromatic shades of one color. This is a fun sort of candy popcorn product. It doesn't feel that way at all right now with this color palette. It's very somber and just very limited. See what other colors you can add. What if this was in yellow? What would that look like? And try to use your logo as a lockup together instead of breaking it apart. You need a descriptor line. What is it? What kind of product is it? The nutrition facts needs to have a white background. So that's key. Yeah, and don't limit yourself. This is color theory. You should be playing with colors. This monochromatic palette isn't working for you. Next up, Bogaga and Kukos chips. I think this color palette works well for this brand. The logo is okay. You've got a lot of monochromatic stuff going on in the logo, so it kind of fades away. You could actually add some color to this. This illustration is okay, but it's just sort of hanging there, unrelated. Maybe you could fill this with chips here, this whole lower area. Put a descriptor line, chips with lime. This type is illegible. It's so squished. You don't want to do that. You could just put a nice paragraph on the back under the ingredients. The flap's okay. So when it comes together, you've got some good elements going on here. It needs some craftsmanship. And like I said, this illustration, I don't think it's helping you. I think maybe some pictures of chips would help. And consider your icon having more color than just that monochromatic look. And when you're trying to line things up, you're having trouble with type in Illustrator. So you've got a text frame and then you're bending it, and so the text is going all crazy. You just want to have like converted to just not in a text frame, just free text, and then you'll be able to turn it. And that's it for section 1. Section 2, first up we got Chris, Oaxaca chocolate. You've got a good color palette going on. This sort of label thing is an interesting design element, but the fact that it's sort of white and just sort of low opacity, so things are coming through, kind of makes it not work as well. Consider if this was a color and solid, what would you want it to be? Try to make those colors work together. This piece on Our Story is pretty well done, I think. I'm just not a fan of this white low opacity thing because it really sort of diminishes the pop of the colors and everything. The chocolate you're using, it's okay. The pyramid, which was really interesting in your logo, is obliterated, and I'm not sure why that is. So I would bring the pyramid back. I don't know that this chocolate is helping you. It's so dark, almost looks black. So, so think about that. And yeah, you've got all the elements kind of working here. All right, next up, Charles, you're doing Bluebell's chocolate. You've chosen to do something other than the template we provided, which is okay. Missing the net weight. You want a descriptor line explaining what it is. These polka dots just sort of scattered around here on a white background, not really a great design choice. I would consider color. Everywhere there's white, could it be a color? Or must it be white? As you know, I'm not a fan of this logo because the type integrated there makes it kind of tough to work with. All this black also could be a color as well. So look at some other package designs and sort of get a feel for what types of things go on there. I don't know if you're using Adobe Dimension, or I don't know how you're creating this mock-up. Try using the mock-up we provided. See how that works. All right, McFeeney's. This is Mitchell's. You've got the elements, you've got a color palette. It needs to sort of be pulled together. The bowl of what looks like, which are the cheese straws, I would focus this in, like maybe crop it so that just the top of the bowl is sort of arching in here. Give your logo a little more space to be the star of the show. Add a descriptor line, what this is. You got Irish cheddar, but are there other elements? Could you add a story to the back? Where do they come from? The package feels sort of a good color palette, but just not really branded a lot. So see what you can add in there. Next up, Vincent. Pacific Coast Orchards. So you've got a very, very warm color palette. I think I've mentioned your logo. It feels like kind of a bunch of scattered elements. You want it to be the star of the show. This pattern is very strong in terms of contrast and very kind of eye distracting. You're kind of struggling here for a visual style for this whole thing. So if you're going to do sort of brushy things like that, maybe there's brushy things in the pattern as well. But just don't take the icon, turn it into a grid like that. It's not a good look. Nutrition facts, you need ingredients. Barcode can go on the back or the bottom. Net weight's okay. This color palette, I feel like it needs a little more contrast in terms of light and dark. This green, very, very pale green, Pacific Coast, I'm thinking dark green. Sort of look at your keywords and see if this palette really works for that. Take a look at that. All right. Tony, Stone Soup. Now you got a good logo. You're using red and green, complementary palette, which is okay. It's a tough one to work with because you don't want to look like Christmas. I would say this needs another color, something else to give it some pop. It feels very kind of sedate right now, so I would consider that before you're finished with this. This needs to have a white background and then nutritional facts. You could have a little more fun with this flap coming over, but it works. You're in good shape. I would encourage you to experiment with a variety, more variety in the color palette. And that is it. I hope this has been helpful. This is it, guys. You're coming through the last few days of class. Keep up the good work.